What's up, YouTube? It's Onion Bomb here, and welcome to my NFL game predictions week number 9. The predictions for week number 9. But before we move forward into week number 9 game predictions, I'm going to go back like I always do and recap the previous week, which in this case was week number 8. And not a lot of games this week. There was only 13, but as you can see, the record, I went 10-3, which adding on from last week is really good. It's getting very positive, and I'm slowly zooming up there because that brings the overall to 61-43. Almost 20 games guessed correctly over games guessed incorrectly, which that could change with a couple bad weeks, but We'll see. I'm on a good streak now. Let's not end it here. So let's see what games I got right and wrong of week 8. Starting it off, the Ravens blew out the Dolphins 40-0. Not only as a Steelers fan, but as someone who keeps picking the Dolphins for some reason, that's a pretty depressing game. I got that wrong, and I'm not sure if I'm ever gonna pick the Dolphins again. That's like the third time they misled me. The Vikings beat the the Vikings beat the Browns. I got that right. The Patriots beat the Chargers, not by much, but I got that right. The Saints beat the Bears. I got that right. The Panthers beat the Buccaneers. I got that wrong. The Bengals beat the Colts by only a point, but I got that right. The Bills beat the Raiders, continuing to be surprising. I got that wrong. The Eagles beat the 49ers. I got that right. The Falcons beat the Jets. Again, not by much, but I got that right. The Seahawks beat the Texans. That was a game like I thought it was going to be. I got that right. The Cowboys beat the Redskins. I got that right. The Steelers beat the Lions. I got that right. And the Chiefs beat the Broncos. I got that right as well. So, with that all being recapped of week 8, let's finally move forward and look into my week 9 predictions. Alright, here are my week 9 predictions for the NFL games. Starting it off, like I always do, with Thursday Night Football. The Bills and the Jets. I'm going with the Jets. The Jets have been super surprising. Maybe not all that surprising with wins, but they gave the Patriots a game. They gave the Falcons a game. They gave a couple other people games too. I think they can do this. They gave the Bills a game week 1, so why not? They can beat them this time around. I mean, the Bills, don't get me wrong, they're super surprising. They beat the Raiders and they beat the they beat the Broncos. They beat the who else? The Falcons. They also beat the Falcons. They could do this too, but the Bills also lost to the Bengals, so the Bills can choke. The Jets can choke, but I think the Jets are going to get this one. Weirdly saying, because, like I've been saying, they are way different than what I thought. They're definitely not an 0-16 team. Alright, moving into the Sunday games. The Buccaneers and the Saints. I'm going with the Buccaneers. I know I've been going with the Buccaneers so much for some reason. They're definitely not the best team, and they're pretty even whacked this year. They're alright last year. They're pretty whacked this year. I don't know why I keep picking the Buccaneers. I don't know. I feel like the minute I stop picking the Buccaneers, they're gonna win. So as like an upset, I feel like they're gonna upset the Saints. I got the Buccaneers. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. If I am wrong, that is definitely going to be the end of me picking the Buccaneers. I don't even care. Alright, next up is definitely an interesting matchup. The Falcons and the Panthers. I have the Falcons. The Falcons have been a little bit struggles lately. I mean, they've lost and almost lost to some whack teams. So I don't know. The Falcons aren't really looking that good. The Panthers, they have had some good wins and some losses too. I mean, they did beat the Patriots, but I think the Falcons are going to win this one. I don't know. I'm just having a feeling that one could definitely go either way, and that's probably one of the best games this week. Next up, Rams and Giants. I have the Rams. The Giants I think are still struggling from their injuries, although they haven't done completely horrible like some people thought they were going to do. They're still pretty bad. So yeah, I'm going with the Rams. Plus the Rams are looking pretty hot too. Next up, the Ravens and the Titans. I have the Ravens. Just the Titans, Titans are alright. I just think they're gonna lose this. I guess it pains me to say this. The Ravens are pretty good, especially after their one victory. Even though they is Joe Flacco ruled out? I know he got that massive hit, but is he injured, or was he just out for that game? I don't know. If he's injured, that might affect the Ravens, but at the same time, I feel like the Ravens still could get it done, even defensively. So I'm going with the Ravens. Next up, Bengals and Jaguars. I have the Jaguars. The Jaguars are definitely have a pretty good year, having some surprising victories, a lot of surprising victories. Sadly, one to my Steelers, but that's in the past. I don't know. The Jaguars are just looking pretty good. Definitely more so on defense, but the Jaguars look all right. The Bengals, are struggling, so gotta pick the Jaguars. Alright, this next game is gonna be interesting for you guys. It's the Broncos and the Eagles, and I'm taking the Broncos. The Eagles have been elite lately, and they're arguably right now the best team in the league, because they've gone number one on power rankings 2 weeks in a row, maybe even 3, and they have only had one loss so far, so they have the best record in the league. So why am I taking the Broncos? I feel like the Broncos are just gonna turn it up. They've been so low lately. I saw that Brock Osweiler was starting, so I didn't really want to do this upset anymore, but then I thought about it. I was like, even Brock Osweiler, he can get a win to or here. He was on the Texans last year. They made it to the playoffs, even won a game in the playoffs. So, but that was to an injured Derek Carr Raiders team, so not that big of a victory. But so I think Brock Osweiler can do something. I'm going to go with he's doing this. This might be a little controversial, but I think the Eagles, this is going to be one of their losses. I don't know. I still think the Eagles are going to the playoffs. I still think they're going to lose in the playoffs. But this I don't know. I think this is just going to be a game that the Eagles lose. Next up, Texans and Colts. I have the Texans. Texans gave the Seahawks a great game. That was a great game to watch. It was a shootout. Sadly, the Seahawks won it. Well, not sadly, but sadly for the Texans and Texans fans. But Texans are definitely going to win the Colts. They're just miles better than the Colts right now. Even with Andrew Luck, I think they're better than the Colts. So the Texans are just, I don't know what's happening with Andrew Luck. I'm not sure if he's coming back or what, but I don't believe he's coming back yet. So, definitely the Texans. And either way, the Texans. So, I'm pretty confident in picking the Texans, whether or not Andrew Luck returns or not, which I'm 95% sure he's not coming back. This game, at least. Next up, Seahawks and the Redskins. I'm going with the Seahawks. Just the Seahawks, a little bit of offensive struggles at the beginning. I think they're all tuned up now. Of course, their defense has pretty much always been elite. Redskins, are kind of mediocre. So, yeah, good versus mediocre. Good's probably going to win. So, unless there's an upset. But, I'm definitely picking enough upsets for this week. So, yeah, I'm going with the Seahawks, definitely. And, speaking of upsets, next up, Cardinals and the 49ers. And yes, I am taking the 49ers getting their first win of the season. They're going to utilize this and get the win with Carson Palmer being injured. I think this matchup already happened earlier and the Cardinals did indeed win it, but that was with Carson Palmer, and it wasn't by a lot, if I'm remembering correctly. Maybe I'm just derping up here. Either way, I'm saying the 49ers are getting their first win of the season. Whether Jimmy Garoppolo is elite, and by the way, I'm picking these way before the trades happen. I'm like, the minute I look at this, even before I make this video, I'm like mentally thinking about my predictions, and usually I stick with them unless there's like an injury or something, then I change. But yeah, I'm going with the 49ers for this one. Jimmy Garoppolo happened before that, so hey, maybe that might even help my case here. But I'm going with the 49ers. I know the 49ers and Jets in one prediction video. Wow. All right, next up is gonna be an amazing game as well. The Falcons and the Panthers game. And this game is probably going to be the two best games of this week. The Chiefs and the Cowboys is this game. I'm going to go with the Chiefs. Both really good teams. But, you know, I just think the Chiefs are going to be a little more elite. And they're going to get this one done. They have the better defense. And, yeah, the Cowboys really, they don't have that good of a defense. They have definitely a really good offense, but hey, the Chiefs have a pretty good offense too, and they have a good defense. So I'm going to say the Chiefs win this one. Maybe I'm wrong. This one could go either way too, but I'm just leaning towards the Chiefs just because the Chiefs just, they're pretty good. They haven't really had any surprising losses. I mean, the Raiders are a good team. Of course, I think the Steelers are a good team. I know the Steelers are a good team, all bias aside. So, yeah, but the Cowboys, they've had, I think, a few surprising losses. I forget them, but I remember I was surprised at their performances a couple times. Alright, next up, two teams that disappointed me so much last week. The Raiders versus the Dolphins. I'm going to go with the Raiders because the Dolphins, the Dolphins have let me down way more than the Raiders had. Plus, the Raiders are definitely a better team than the Dolphins. And the Dolphins just let go of Jay Ajayi. And the Dolphins lost 40-0 last week. Well, meanwhile, the Raiders, they didn't lose that bad. But they did lose to the Bills, which, I don't know. Is it even, like, bad to lose to the Bills at this point? Like, how long till a team proves that they're good? So you don't have to be like, oh crap, that this team lost to this team. Like, because the Bills, like, they have first surprising victory, second surprising victory, but third, like, maybe they just, like, they can do this now. I don't know. But I'm taking the Raiders. I think they can get it done, especially against the Dolphins. But hey, both these teams have disappointed me, so maybe they'll work together and make the Dolphins win. I don't know. Let's just move on to the final game, Monday Night Football. Alright, this would be a much better game if Aaron Rodgers didn't get injured, but sadly he did. It's still a decent game, but it was a little bit easier to pick. And this game is Lions and Packers, and I am taking the Lions. This would have been much harder to pick if Aaron Rodgers didn't get hurt, but since he did, I'm going with the Lions. The Lions have been on a losing streak. I think they're going to get off of it. They just lost to my Steelers, and they looked pretty good, except for in the red zone. They got down to it, but they just couldn't commit, and even with going on fourth down, they couldn't get it, which maybe that was just the Steelers playing good defense. Maybe that was the Lions being stupid. I don't know, but I feel like the Lions will start a rebound here with this Green Bay and take advantage of Aaron Rodgers' absence, even though Brett Hundley isn't that bad, and he could actually do this. Like, the Packers still can win this, but I just think the Lions are going to. And that's what I'm taking. I will be taking the Lions. So, I don't know. It could go either way. Alright, so those are my picks for this week's NFL week. And as you guys notice, the Steelers aren't there. They have a bye week. So this is like the first episode. If you guys think I'm being biased with the Steelers, but to me, the Steelers are just a good team, so it's hard not to be biased. But this is the first episode with absolutely no bias whatsoever. And I picked a lot of upsets, so we'll see how I do. Maybe I'm getting a little cocky now because I went 10-5, then 10-3. But, hey, this has been a crazy year so far. So I decided, you know what, maybe I've started looking carefully at more games and what teams can do what. So let's just recap them all real quick here. I have the Jets beating the Bills, the Buccaneers are beating the Saints, the Falcons beating the Panthers, the Rams beating the Giants, the Ravens beating the Titans, the Jaguars beating the Bengals, the Broncos beating the Eagles, the Texans beating the Colts, the Seahawks beating the Redskins, the 49ers beating the Cardinals, the Chiefs beating the Cowboys, the Raiders beating the Dolphins, and the Lions beating the Packers. And those are my predictions for this week. If you want to know how much I got right, how much I got wrong, which you probably do because, I have a lot of interesting picks, check out Week 10's prediction, which will be uploaded next week. And I'll be recapping Week 9 like I recapped Week 8 in this video. So stay tuned for that. And then, of course, you can see my predictions for Week 10 as well. So that's really it, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like or dislike, subscribe or don't subscribe. It's always up to you. And I'll see you guys in the next video you watch of me. Goodbye.